Boots and cats and boots and cats.
What's that thing? It's like Sheldon likes playing the bongos and Big Bang Theory. He's like, Sheldon plays the bongos at midnight or something. He's like annoying his housemate. Sheldon loves to play the bongos. It's so right. Little kitty, was it little ball of fur? Happy kitty, sleepy kitty, purr, purr, purr. And that's how he goes to bed.
Do you know the best thing about this? The cameras are rolling, so this could be a good little intro.
Yeah, welcome to
Meow Meow Chats.
Meow 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 chance.
There you go, that's our theme song. We sing that every week.
These teachers. Do you know it?
Like the ABC News intro.
Right, okay, so we're going to do this less formal this time. So kind of just ignore it and we'll just have a chat. So rather than do the big introduction or anything, we'll just start from here. So I think the topic of today, from the feedback that we got, as I said, the feedback that we got was that that it was relatable and we didn't go too far off. And like some of our subjects, we can go like as deep as anything, you know, even when we talk to Sapir and all this kind of stuff, it goes deep into science. But with this, let's just keep it on calories and the importance of them, why people go away from them, and all this kind of stuff, you know. So like, let's just roll it over to Robbie first. Calories.
Well,
how important are calories, Robbie?
Well, super. If you want to make any aesthetic changes to your body, like I was training for years, and I was like, why am I ever putting on muscle mass? And then it's like, well, the analogy I kind of use is like, imagine if like a chippy rocked up with you're trying to build a brick house, and a chippy rocked up with a heap of wood, and you're like, oh, I'm building a brick house, and it's like, that's not going to be too useful, is it?
Yeah, exactly.
So that's how I kind of thought about protein and calories and things like that. And once like your body changes so much, it adapts to what you give it. So that was definitely like until I started tracking my calories, I was like really at a plateau in my training.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, isn't it? Like, just, I find that people have a massive resistance to calories. You know what I mean? The average people, and it's not even something that they've picked up themselves. It's like, you know, when you hear someone go, fruit sugar's good, and you ask them why, and they're like, I don't know. Like, no one give you the answer. It's like, I don't like tracking calories, and they've never done it. They don't know what a calorie is and what it does. That's obviously through the 6-week challenges that I've found. And yet, it is literally trying to figure out your finances without knowing your income and outgoings. You can't. Yeah. It's as simple as that.
And if they put the same emphasis on money as they did their calories, I'm sure that they'd all budget, you know?
Yeah.
Everyone would be tracking their calories if it was the same value to them as money.
Exactly, yeah. And yet, like, I think people also find that they train and say don't get what result they want. Like as you said, you can train, and then if you don't have the right amount, say like protein intake and caloric intake, then you can't build. But then other people will try and lose weight, and they try and like exert. I mean, how many videos we've made on you can't out-train a bad diet, and yet like
People still try.
people still try. You can't do it. You literally can't do it.
Sometimes we even have people come in and they're like, oh, I'm just doing this tonight so I can have my, like mud cake at home. And I'm like, just have something else. Like, I was like, I don't know, 20 minutes of some people will work that way, you know? They go, oh, I can eat it.
Yeah, ironically, I've done that myself. Like,
you need more food.
Yeah, like if I'm in a deficit and I'm just like, I just want to eat something else, I'll come in and burn like 300-400 calories just so I can get another meal in. So it works like that, but you have to be within that threshold anyway, right?
Yeah, 100%. You can't just guess.
Another thing is like, as you were saying, obviously, it's got a bit of a bad rep, or people like think it has a bad rep, like they're not willing to try it. But I think a lot of that came from, I've got a few clients that when first bringing up the calories and all that, they say that they don't want to start tracking because like they don't want to become obsessed with it, or they don't want to and they use that, but at the same time it's like, well, if you understand it, you're not going to become obsessed with it, and it becomes just habit, and it becomes that. I think that's the biggest thing is like anything, like it's a learning curve at the start, but once you understand it well enough, you don't have to track it all the time.
Exactly.
You understand roughly how many calories would be in something, or at least like, that's going to be really high. At least like, if you don't know the exact or anything, at least you go, that's going to be really high because I know that certain fats, or for example, like a ridiculously high for a small portion, versus like, that type of carb over there, I could probably eat a fair bit of that and be quite satiated or full, but have a low calorie like output, for example, like sweet potato or something like
It's
that.
like, yeah, it's almost like you're scared, like sometimes they're a bit scared like the education, and it's like, the more educated you are, the more informed you can be about the choices you make. And now it's like, it's so much more relaxing because people, like, some people be like, oh yeah, I don't track my calories, I just, guesstimate. And it's like, you can do that if you have tracked them and you've done it before, because I reckon like if someone asked us how much food was in something, we'd be off, but we'd be a hell of a lot closer than Gen Pop, you know what I mean? Because no one's ever done it. What was that? The hot chocolate?
Jacob was going on about his hot chocolates. He was on coffee.
Yeah.
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 Every time Katie sneezes, because the coffee cup
There was static, alright?
No, we looked it up.
Goes to that old-fashioned thing when it ran out. You the dull, the chalkboard.
I was more accurate.
You're more accurate.
What did you get? Did you guess a cup?
Well, it was hard to actually find. Like it's like when you type it into MyFitnessPal, and I just typed in like hot chocolate because we just went to Bessa.
No, we were at Boatshed.
That was a different time. At Boatshed or wherever it was, and I typed in, and then they obviously come up with like a lot of them are American ones, like in ounces and things. So I sort of guessed, but the range was like, depending on I guess what type of chocolate and everything they use.
Yeah, absolutely.
The range was from like 100 calories up to I think like
It's
5.
Oh, what's it?
Yeah, for the large one from.
Oh, yeah, that's right, yeah.
I think it had Starbucks like
Yeah,
large.
Starbucks.
Well, say obviously American brand, but at the same time it was like when I was like 500 calories in a hot chocolate, I was like, wow.
And that's why it's so
This is
hard
yummy.
to like eat out. Yeah, it's yummy, but like when you eat out like with your friends and things like that, like it's so hard to estimate because you don't know what they've cooked it in. Like there's so much unknown to it. It's like, yeah, you can kind of guess, but like I reckon with some of those, I'll be like, oh, I'm just going to add 300 calories onto whatever it was that I thought it was. Because it
just cook it in coconut oil, it goes up.
Yeah.
Well, I find as well that people eat the same kind of things generally. I know I do. I have my favourite things. And so I just like create, so like MyFitnessPal, which is a free app, right? I just create the meals I usually eat. I just go in, hit the meal, that's it. I've already predetermined it, and it takes a second to do.
That's right. Absolutely, and I think another thing is a really common one that I've found is oils. Like most people, if they've never looked into calories, don't realize how much fats overall, but especially oil has in terms of calories. Like olive oil, 100 mil, something like 300 calories or something like that. 200 calories in just 100 mil, which looks like nothing if you just go like that over the top of like a big salad. But if you had a fair bit of that, like it's plus everything else that's in there.
Absolutely.
It's a lot of calories that you could have done without. Like you could easily put something else, or something vinegar, something else like on top. That's half the calories.
I think people got to realise as well that like a deficit isn't forever. If you do it properly, it's a short amount of time. And like we can always like has the hot chocolate, like iced coffee, whatever.
Crepes.
But like it's not like that's out of the range. You can do that. The difference is we adjust for it. And I think as well is that when people are going into a deficit, like when we did our deficit for 2 weeks and just smash it off, it's just what are you prepared to sacrifice to get that goal? And I think when you think, I'm prepared to be a bit hungry for 2 weeks, because like 11 kilos in 2 weeks, like I'm prepared to go a bit hungry, because that's just ghrelin release, right? I'm prepared not to have my favourite meal this morning, but once I'm full, I don't want it anyway, so I'll just eat this instead. It's 2 weeks. Just bang, do it off, or 6 weeks, or whatever it is. And then bring it back in, but now adjust it. It's like, I think people like go into a deficit and go, oh, I've got to do this, and they don't realise the temporary nature of it. Just do it properly, do it once, get it done, bring it back in, but then adjust for it. Simple as, right?
What you just said, I was going to say they don't futurecast. So exactly you said, it's temporary, but they live in the now. They live in, I'm so hungry right now, or oh, I feel crap, I've got no energy right now. Like it's all about right then. They don't stop and go, if I eat this, I'm going to feel guilty. I could just wait 2 weeks, and I'm going to feel so much better at the end of that 2 weeks, and and be having it guilt free because I'll be back to where I wanted to be, and I've earned it, and
that's like even like I'll eat out and like I just don't feel guilty about it at all because it's like I'd have to do this for a long period of time to then put on excess weight. I have to be
because you burn a lot of calories, because that's another factor, right? Lifestyle, because you playing AFL and training and all this kind of stuff, because
heaps of steps too.
Exactly, you burn so much.
But also like it's kind of like you didn't just get overweight in one day. So it's like if you have a cheat meal once you're at a normal, you know, weight range, once you're kind of at maintenance, it's like if you go out and you have one bad weekend in like a month, like it's not going to be that bad once you're at that level. But when you're already in a surplus and you're already overweight, well, it just keeps snowballing, and then it gets hard, and everyone goes, oh, it's so hard. And it's like, as you said, get it done, get it quickly. Then once you get to maintenance, you can slip up, or you can have, you know, periods of time off where you don't track calories if you don't want to.
And the other thing is you can structure it. Like you can account for it on purpose. I know I've got a wedding coming up on Saturday, and I want to have a couple of drinks and enjoy whatever food they put on there. Okay, well, I'm going to do a fast on Friday. Or okay, well, I'm just going to go into a deficit for 2-3 days to account for the extra that I'm going to be in on Saturday, you know, and that's where we come back to education. If you understand it, you can account for it, and then be guilt-free at like events and things. And if you did slip up, you can be guilt-free because you can adjust for it after. Like
before, after, or before, so it's a reward.
Yeah, ideally before, but you know, like worst case, like you could just go, oh, I know I've been over the last 2 days. Okay, I'm going to do a fast or whatever you like, adjust for it, you know.
And that's the difference, is that's what we all do, right? I think also, like, without going too far into the biological benefits of it, but estrogen's stored in the body fat, right? So that snowballs as well. You end up storing more estrogen. It's harder to lose weight. The leaner you are, the more insulin sensitive you become. So you actually absorb better nutrients, and your hormones become better regulated. So
more energy.
If you do that cut properly, temporarily, it's easier, you know, like then the further you go, the harder it becomes. So like, just do it. And it all starts from what calories I got in. Oh, that's too much, or often that's way too small. We'll adjust that, you put it in the right window, and it just happens. Yeah. You know, it's just education application. Right?
Another thing on that is like you sort of alluded to it there, but where alluded.
There we go. Word of the day is the first one of this video.
With things like obviously undereating, overeating, and all that, like we're talking about right now, if you overeat and it sort of snowballs because you feel lethargic, then you feel like crap, then you don't sleep well, you don't train, and all these things start to come together, which is just leading you down the wrong track. But at the same time too, I think your body's not intended to be in one state for a long time, in terms of in just a surplus for a long time, or just a deficit for a long time, or just maintenance for a long time. It's made to fluctuate with seasons, with exercise, with like depending on what you're doing, right? And that's where I think a lot of people, especially those who say may have gotten to a stage that they're not happy with in their lives, in terms of physical or mental, whatever it is, and they go, okay, I need to make change, I start to try a cut, but then they get caught being like never being satisfied because they're not losing enough or whatever it is, and they stay in a big deficit for a long time. And that's when that metabolism comes right down, as we know, and that's like heaps of people that come in here. We go, oh, put them on the challenge, for example, which should be quite a decent deficit. So they should really be like quite hungry. And then they're like, I can't finish my 3 meals of the day. And they're like, well, you've been severely under eating for a long time. So they've dropped that metabolism right down. The body's adjusted to the environment they've put it in. Rather than if you're cycling, the body's always like, you know, that metabolism's going up and down, it's adjusting, your body's staying healthy.
Well, that's the big reason as well why people when they've been overeating for a while, they actually lose weight quick because the metabolism is actually fast. Absolutely. Whereas the other people that are massively under eating to try and lose the weight, but they're so far under, their BMR's lowered.
That just comes back to that time frame again. Like it didn't happen overnight. It's not going to happen over a week. It's going to happen over 2. You know, set yourself like a kind of 6-month goal. Like have those goals, because it's not just going to happen over like 1 week. You know what I mean? Otherwise, everyone could get, you know, shredded like that in a week, and everyone could get really big in a week. It doesn't. We don't fluctuate. You know, it takes periods of time like anything. But I always like use it like a kind of like credit card analogy, and it's like you were saying before, was if you have like, you know, you want a really nice dress for a Friday night, and it's like, well, you probably
or a suit, you know, like
whatever
dress, suit, whatever, something you really want on a weekend. You probably go, oh, maybe I won't, you know, go out and spend on Monday to Friday because I want to save up for the Friday. And it's like, well, there you go. It's exactly like your calories, like you were saying before. So
absolutely,
it's just educating yourself on it.
How about yourself? Because like everyone would be like, oh, she doesn't eat much.
I eat a little bit.
Pull the plate away like that.
My food. Yeah, no, I like my food. But obviously, like you just need to think about how much you're gonna take in. If I'm gonna go over my calories, then the next day, to be honest, I'm in a bit of a maintenance / surplus anyway, so I can.
Without throwing you under the boat, like Tell like
Both.
your birthday, just
Oh, yeah.
like obviously like
Oh.
what you have for dinner, like brownies, like all of that.
Yeah, I
But-
ate so much. But like then yesterday, I felt quite because it wasn't like, quite bad because because it was like Indian takeaway, but because I'm so used to eating decent, that just threw me off. And I felt like I just woke up feeling hungover, didn't drink at all, but I felt just sluggish. Still came in and trained because I think you need to get moving to get
That's how you
feel better.
detoxify.
But,
Yeah, that's what we do anyway.
But I guess typical like for you, for people like especially girls your age, and I know because I'm a similar age, and it's like I feel like a lot of girls struggle with under eating, and obviously you don't because you train so much. Like, what would your kind of recommendation be for someone maybe like your age? It's like going through that, and they want to, because a lot of body image issues, especially with adolescents, teenagers, and young males and females, it's massive for both sexes. And so it's like, what would you kind of say to like people
Going
like that?
back to that photo that I showed you this
Yeah,
morning,
that's
like I was
awesome.
tiny,
Yeah.
and now like I look at myself like I'm still small, but like I feel so much better. Like I can eat like a load, I can train, like
Now you're strong, actually have shape. Because I think
And
that
energy
people get
as
caught
well,
up in,
like-
I want to be small, and so they associate small with no calories, but then they look at certain models or what have you that are small, low body fat is what they're looking at, but then they have shape and go, why haven't I got legs like her or this like that? It's because she's built the muscle, and dropping the body fat has revealed the tone of the muscle. It's the tone is a state, isn't it?
That's like what
You get that from guys as well, though, don't you?
Yeah, I have so many clients who go, I want to have Kaylee's legs. And I was like, well, if you train as hard as Kaylee and you do your Irish dancing and everything, you might.
Yeah, absolutely.
To a certain extent, So,
100%.
but
and then every body shape is different as well. Like a lot of people say Instagram, for instance, like so many people put up photos on Instagram and like all the models and whatever, but like they may be edited, or it's like now a lot of people are putting up like Instagram and reality, and like it's just so true because.
And then those same people are still posting the non-reality ones. Like you can do Instagram versus reality, and it's like, but you're still posting that stuff. You know what I mean? So it's like you've just showed everyone that there is an editing side to it, and now you're just promoting that kind of unhealthy or unnatural.
Absolutely.
Basically, it is an unnatural body image.
Absolutely,
especially for like girls in particular. Like
I know.
Well, girls and guys.
Yeah,
I think the girls have got this unrealistic expectation of being this tiny thing, but the guys have got guys on performance enhancing drugs that are so unobtainable to put their health at risk to get there. So they're like low body fat percentage, huge muscle mass percentage, and it's like even they can't get that naturally.
Well, even
the majority of them.
like cartoons, if you go back to that, like Superman, Batman,
Yeah.
jacked, huge superhero,
Yeah.
like, you know what I mean? Everyone's like the Hulk, you know, they're all, you never got, you know, Fat Man as the cartoon, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
Well, Robbie,
so-
you were even just saying the other day when you were doing your comps, like how you felt when you were in.
Yeah, like I remember doing posts at the time and being like, I'm literally the leanest I've ever been. Even my mates are like, wow, you're so lean. They're like, are you about to get on stage? Like, you're looking great. And I was like, I can't even train. Like I was literally like bench pressing, like I reckon 2 days before my comp, like 60 kilos. And I was like, and I wasn't as educated as what I was now, so I'd do it differently.
Yeah.
But at the time, I was
weak.
Yeah, I was so weak. I had no energy in my sleep. Like it was terrible.
Yeah.
And it was like to the point where I was like, I just want to get through this. Like, and the photos look great and things like that, but I was like, nah. Like it was actually when I came 2 weeks out of that, got back into a surplus and I started training again. I was like, gee, now I feel good because I can, obviously I've cut all that body fat and now I can start to see, you know, look a bit fuller, I start to get my training back. I was like, now I start to feel good. But it was, that's not like, literally I held that for 3 days, that shape. I think I got down to like 80 and a half and like started at almost like 92. And so it's like a massive difference. Do not recommend. Like it's just.
I think another thing with that is with people getting into either extreme states or even just being in, say for example, if we go back to like being in deficit for a long time, it's easy to forget what it feels like to be out of that.
Yeah,
Like, you know,
like when you're sick.
That's right. Like,
Yeah.
If you've been in a heavy deficit for a long time, you get used to it. It becomes the new norm. You know, like your body adjusts, your brain adjusts, and you start to think, oh, this is the new norm. You forget how good you could feel.
Yeah.
Like, and then all of a sudden, like eventually you come across someone, they educate you, they help you, you get out of it, and now you're back into like eating right, you're training well, and all of a sudden you're like, I feel really good right now.
Yeah.
Wow, I forgot I could feel this
Yeah.
good. Like,
Yeah.
and it's, but sometimes you just forget because you're just in something, in this grind, you're not thinking about it from like pulling back and just looking at everything as a whole and going, oh, hold on a second. Like you get so caught up in it all.
Yeah.
And then until you get caught out by someone or someone pulls you up and you sort of do that, step back and take a look at it, you just, it's your normal. So you forget, like you don't realize,
that's
but
true.
you got all these issues because of it. And that's where I think, like, you know, hopefully if someone's watching this and they see it and they sort of go, okay, let me just pull back a little bit and maybe just reassess a couple of these things and see if you can pick up some of these. And if you got questions, like, ask one of us, you know, and we can help and maybe guide you, or if not, at least refer you on to maybe who we think could help you. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah, good point. Good way to close. Well done, Robin. If you were Robin. you can blame the Robin. Jacob should have come up with that. I do know people's names.
Good job, Jacob.
Yeah, it's alright. I'll edit it so I'm looking at different people.
No, you just need to go, good job, Robbie.
Just cut it out of a good job.
Yeah.
Yeah, chats.
Cool. I reckon that's probably it, because we don't want to make these go too long either.
Cat's out.
And
What was that? Meow.
meow meow cats out.
Cat's out.
Meow meow cats.
Meow chats. See you later.
Like,
And now
subscribe to
the
Meow Meow
credits
Chats.
While the credits roll down the screen. Soft kitty, little kitty.
Little girl.
Happy kitty, sleepy kitty. Oh.
Nice, guys.
That was good.
Laters.
Later.
That was like me yesterday, like in the class. I was like full on waiting for someone to fist bump me. I was like,
Oh yeah.
yeah.
She's standing over the top of her on the roll like this, like, and I was watching her, and she like looked the other way, not realizing, and Kelly's just like, I was like, no.